All right, Lily, let's talk about something I see all too often in the startup world. That wide-eyed enthusiasm of a first-time founder, right before they make, well, some pretty classic blunders.
Oh, Adam, you know it. It's like watching a train in slow motion sometimes. You want to shout, "No, don't do that!" But they're so caught up in the dream. What's the number one mistake you see, off the bat?
Honestly, it's building something nobody wants. They fall in love with their idea, spend months, sometimes years perfecting this product, convinced it's revolutionary, without ever really talking to potential customers. It's the classic build it and they will come mentality, and it almost never works.
Preach! It's that assumption, isn't it? I need this, so everyone needs this, and they pour all their savings, all their time into a solution looking for a problem. I've seen founders so emotionally attached to their initial concept that they completely ignore feedback, or worse, they don't even seek it out.
Exactly. They skip the vital step of market validation. A quick survey, a few interviews, even a landing page with an email sign-up can tell you so much before you write a single line of code or build a prototype. It's about being brutally honest with yourself. Is there a real pain point I'm solving? Is someone willing to pay for this solution?
And it's not just about will they pay, it's how many will pay. You might find 5 people who love your idea, but 5 people don't build a sustainable business. You need to understand the scale of the problem and the market.
Absolutely. Which leads me to the next big one, poor financial management. Or, more accurately, underestimating how much money they'll need and how quickly it'll disappear. They raise a small seed round or bootstrap with personal funds without a clear runway or understanding of their burn rate. Then suddenly it's, oh crap, we're out of cash in 3 months and haven't hit our milestones.
The classic runway anxiety. It's so real, and often it's coupled with an overly optimistic projection. They think sales will ramp up much faster than they actually do, or that development costs will be lower, and they forget about all the little things: software subscriptions, legal fees, marketing experiments that flop. It all adds up.
Every penny counts, especially in the early days. And I've seen founders who are brilliant at product, brilliant at sales, but they just aren't good with numbers. They need to either learn or bring in someone who lives and breathes spreadsheets and projections. Ignoring your financials is like flying a plane without a fuel gauge.
That's a fantastic analogy, Adam. And speaking of bringing in people, another colossal mistake I see first-time founders make is trying to do everything themselves. They're the CEO, the CTO, the head of marketing, the sales rep, the customer support, and they burn out so quickly.
The superhero complex, I call it. They think they have to prove they can do it all. And while initial bootstrapping requires a lot of hats, you quickly hit a ceiling. You can't scale a business as a solo act, not effectively anyway. You need to delegate, you need to trust, and crucially, you need to hire people smarter than you in specific areas.
Totally, and that leads to a related point, hiring the wrong people. Maybe they hire friends or family because it feels comfortable, even if they're not the right fit for the role or the culture. Or they hire based on quick impressions rather than rigorous vetting. A bad hire in a small startup can be devastating, not just financially, but to morale.
Absolutely. A bad hire can sink a small ship. It's not just about the salary, it's the time spent managing them, the opportunity cost, the potential damage to team dynamics. It's better to be slow and deliberate in hiring, even if it feels like you're desperate for help.
Yeah, and I think founders often don't truly understand their own weaknesses. They're trying to patch holes in areas they're not skilled in, instead of bringing in someone who excels there. You might be a brilliant product visionary, but a terrible salesperson, and that's okay. Acknowledging that is strength, not weakness.
That's such a crucial point, Lily. Self-awareness is key. And on the flip side of trying to do everything, another huge mistake is ignoring sales and marketing until it's too late. They think, we'll build an amazing product, and then we'll worry about selling it. But by then, they've run out of money, momentum, and often enthusiasm.
Oh, that's a classic. Product market fit is one thing, but if no one knows your product exists, it doesn't matter how good it is. Marketing isn't an afterthought. It needs to be woven into the fabric of your strategy from day one. Even before you launch, you should be building an audience, creating buzz.
Precisely. Founders need to understand that selling is an ongoing process, not a sprint at the end of development. It involves understanding your customer journey, crafting compelling messages, experimenting with channels. It's not just putting up an ad or making a sales call, it's strategic.
And the other thing is, sales can actually inform your product development. If you're out there trying to sell, you're getting direct feedback on what's missing, what the real objections are, what features are truly valued. It's a feedback loop they often miss.
That's genius, actually. Sales isn't just about revenue, it's about intelligence gathering. It's your ears on the ground.
Okay, here's one that founders often overlook, maybe because it feels less businessy, neglecting their own well-being.
Burnout is a silent killer in the startup world.
Ugh, this one hits home for so many. The hustle culture myth that you have to work 100 hours a week, sleep under your desk, and neglect everything else. It's unsustainable, unhealthy, and counterproductive. You can't make good decisions when you're running on fumes.
No, you can't. Your creativity suffers, your judgment gets cloudy, and your relationships crumble. I've seen promising founders crash and burn, not because their idea was bad, but because they physically and mentally exhausted themselves. Taking breaks, exercising, sleeping, eating well, these aren't luxuries, they're foundational to peak performance.
It's like they forget they're human. They treat their business like a machine but forget they're the engine that powers it. And if the engine breaks down, the whole thing stops. Building in time for self-care, even just 30 minutes a day, can make a huge difference. It's not being soft, it's strategic longevity.
Strategic longevity, I like that. Another big one, a fear of pivoting or knowing when to quit. They get so attached to their initial vision that they're unwilling to change course, even when all the data screams for a pivot. Or they drag a dying idea along, throwing good money after bad, because admitting failure feels like, well, failure.
Oh, the sunk cost fallacy is real in startups. We've put so much into this, we can't give up now. But sometimes, giving up on that specific iteration is the smartest thing you can do. Pivoting isn't failure, it's adaptation. It's learning and applying those lessons to a new, potentially more viable path.
Exactly. The most successful founders I know are often the ones who pivoted gracefully, sometimes multiple times. They listen to the market, they're not afraid to admit when something isn't working, and they're agile enough to change direction. Stubbornness can be a virtue, but blind stubbornness is a death sentence.
And the when to quit part is even harder. It's like breaking up with your baby. But knowing when to fold 'em, when to cut your losses and move on to the next big thing, that's true wisdom. Not every idea is meant to fly, and that's okay. What matters is what you learn.
It's a tough lesson, and often a first-time founder doesn't have the perspective to make that call objectively. That's why mentors are so invaluable. Someone who's been there, done that, and can offer an unbiased opinion.
Oh, absolutely. The lack of a strong support system or ignoring advice from experienced mentors is another mistake. They think they know best because it's their vision, but a fresh perspective can save you from so many headaches.
Yeah, being coachable is underrated. You don't have to follow every piece of advice, but listening and considering it is crucial.
Okay, one final big one for me. Underestimating the importance of clear communication. With co-founders, early employees, investors, customers, misunderstandings can derail everything. Oh yes, especially with co-founders. They start with grand visions, but often don't formalize roles, responsibilities, or even equity splits clearly enough up front. Then when things get tough, those unaddressed issues become massive fissures. It's like going into a marriage without talking about finances.
Perfect analogy, and it extends to employees too. Keeping everyone in the loop, setting clear expectations, communicating vision and challenges openly. When communication breaks down, trust erodes, and a small team becomes dysfunctional very quickly.
Transparency builds trust, and trust builds a strong foundation. So to wrap it up, it sounds like a lot of these mistakes boil down to a lack of preparation, a fear of honest self-assessment, and sometimes just plain old hubris, wouldn't you say?
I think you nailed it, Lily. It's the journey from a passionate individual with an idea to a leader building a viable business. It requires a shift in mindset, a willingness to learn, and frankly, a thick skin. But the good news is, all these mistakes are avoidable with a bit of foresight and humility.
Absolutely. So for all you first-time founders out there, listen to Adam, learn from those who've walked the path before you, validate your idea, manage your money wisely, build a great team, don't forget to sell, and for goodness sake, take care of yourselves. It's a marathon, not a sprint.
Indeed. Thanks for joining me on this, Lily. It's always a pleasure diving into these lessons with you.
My pleasure, Adam. And to our listeners, we hope this helps you dodge some of those common startup bullets. Go forth and build, but build smart.